kickback. It just went all day. It just. Yes.
Oh God.
Oh,
Wait,
I don't even want to read
I got
that.
glue to my found out.
No, I hope she never found out. I hope she will never.
That's good.
What she doesn't know doesn't hurt her.
I wouldn't. I don't think I would.
We might never have met.
You know what? You're right.
Who wants a dum dum, but it's bubblegum flavored?
Did everybody go trick or treating last night?
Boy, it rained so hard, and my manager made me do deliveries. I couldn't believe it. I was so sad.
That's because nobody wanted to come in to get it.
I know, but dang.
Whoever ordered that.
I had to go to the same house twice.
Oh no.
Why? They forget supper, they order something
She
twice.
put the pizza over and all the cheese fell off.
First of all, the cheese was too slippery. Why is cheese sliding
Let me
around?
get
Look,
this
she I
straight.
forgot you ordered.
The cheese fell off and you had to take it back.
No, it's the way that the bag is. The bag is it's big and it's ridiculous. The bag is bigger than me. Number one. Then on top of that, the pizza is 25 inches. Then he got wings, everything else on top of the pizza.
Y'all, she walked
So
out with
pizza
pizza like this.
was that's the only way I could do it. I couldn't get it in the door. I couldn't get it in my car door or anything. It was just.
Oh my gosh, he had to go back to Times Square and get another pizza.
Yes, and then I had to bring the pizza back to Times Square. It blew my life. Put it in the trunk.
Clear your trunk out so you can set it in the trunk.
Oh, this is too much. I got too much.
Was your manager mad?
No, but I was. Then the house stunk on top of it. I didn't want to go back, honestly. It was just too much. The house stunk. It was little boys at the door. I just didn't want
I'm gonna find out what night you're working and I'm gonna call them and I'm gonna say, I need a lot of this delivered to my house, way out in Ty Road.
A 25-inch pizza.
A 25-inch pizza.
I went to
Walk
Midway
in the
yesterday,
car.
y'all. He made me drive all the way to Midway. I couldn't believe it.
They told me they delivered to Ty Road and I was like, no way. They were like, yeah, we'll deliver out there.
I'm not telling you.
I don't really understand what's this thing. I understand like I can do it, but I don't understand.
You don't understand the purpose.
Yeah, kind of.
You're showing me where the electrons go when they
Well,
fall
yeah,
apart.
but like I'm
Lulu's
I
in a new game.
don't know if I'm supposed to draw the dots like with the arrows, or should I just put the dot and the knot? I think.
Okay.
Well, I'll just listen when you go.
Okay. I need to see your homework while we're at this.
Yeah.
Did you check Yeah, see about that.
Yeah.
Stick it over here on
I
my
got
desk
the chart.
and I'll take care of that.
That's it.
That's what I don't have.
I just like I don't have paper either, apparently. Oh, I found it.
Oh, I got my skull shirt on from the speed today, so I can get extra.
What is it with you and these shirts?
Are you serious?
What?
Oh,
You
Oh,
need
I
new
got my
structures
scarlet
here.
letter extra
You
credit
can't tell me
yesterday.
that level of structure.
Really?
This chart is a.
I never felt
Disaster.
the credit.
You got more missing than you got.
And then you said I had to have the activation numbers. Yes.
So you're missing 2 rows.
I'm trying to help you.
She's so confused, man.
You got it.
Last night was the, okay, so you don't have to reveal that part from one. Last night was like, the earliest I went to bed all week. It felt so good.
You couldn't circle
But then I had to
one.
wake up at 5:30.
It's just so everywhere.
Oh.
It looks like I just worked something out. It don't look like an answer.
But that's
And I hate it.
I mean, it's cute, dude. You
I did all of
1,
that.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm doing
1, 2,
Figure
3.
it out.
I got no problem with
I did all of it.
Because O has 6.
that. Not you.
CS has 1. Trying to get
For chaotic structures? Do you guys subtract to this?
Has the mornings felt shorter than anybody else? Like I'll be awake and it'll be 7:05, then it's 7:20, like in a minute. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
I
I swear.
swear.
But it's even worse
What's
with
wrong
me.
with the honest structures?
Wait, in the morning.
Well, I don't wake up at 7
I have to wake up early. I
The time yesterday just went by so fast. Like, yesterday just was a breeze. I don't know why. Never been there. I'm down on the place.
Well, when you come in Monday, maybe it will be easier because the sun will be shining in
Shut
our
up.
spaces.
You didn't even have it yet.
Right.
Because I'm mad because I had to stay up so late. Then I have to go to work, but I'm probably gonna call out because Kari is getting the rest of that. No, Kari is getting the rest of it. I got most of it though. I don't have none of
I
it.
only have one. It's peaks in it.
Girl, we don't talk to anybody.
Stereo with it, like, it's not.
What?
I don't even know what happened.
Wait, let me do it.
Oh,
Excuse me, you only have charts.
Is there
Yeah.
a comment on the no? Is there a comment?
What if
Yeah,
I
it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be a kickback. What? You said somebody.
Hey, that would be smart.
I don't know if it's just.
You're looking at.
It's about there.
Oh, I thought you were asking.
Why?
People gonna get their hair cut.
Yeah, you know.
I mean, the back area, well, like the part of the party area. I wish I would have a party outside. First of all, I'm too cold for that.
You saw how this school went, there were so many people outside, there was fights, dance battles.
The next battle had me.
That's
dead
why,
for real.
that's why we can't have a field day. That exactly was our shit.
I mean, what's his name? Come get a
God bless us.
I thought we had a power.
The school was burning.
Alright,
I think you can go to lunch.
so looking at how to do it, onyx structure sets. Looking at an onyx structure since Michaela said, I don't get it.
I don't even.
Alright, you're looking at explaining where the electrons start at and where they go. You're trying to illustrate in an ionic bond who loses and who gains electrons. So cesium starts with how many electrons in the outer shell? One. Oxygen has how many in the outer shell? 6. So you're showing me that. So cesium has 1, oxygen has 6. So on this side, you're showing me where the electrons went. You know that this electron here goes to that one. So you're showing me that on that side.
That's what it was.
Draw what arrow?
That little dot thing.
This that I just drew?
Yeah.
No, I'm just showing you that so you know that's the purpose. Okay? So on this, you're not drawing any dots on CS because you're telling me CS lost the electron. So now oxygen has 7.
So do I, when I draw the next one, do I leave it blank?
Yes, because the next CS is going to do what? It's still giving it to the O. Okay? So you're drawing another CS to tell me that you needed another electron to do what? To lose it and give it to the who?
Oh.
And give it to the O. Because O needs how many electrons? It needs 8 and it only has 6. So this CS had to give 1 here and this CS had to give 1 here so that you got a total of 8.
Okay.
So it gained 2, this one lost 1, and this one lost 1.
So was that the whole? Well,
That's the whole answer other than we need to balance. So when we balance, we had 2 CSs on that side, so I have 2 CSs on this side.
Can you
Okay.
write this? Don't forget to balance. Because I'm not gonna balance it, bro. I don't know.
No, I can't write that.
Miss Wall.
Particularly given I already made the copies.
Write it in pen on each one.
Right, I'm going back to do that 49 test papers. Now, so on this one, aluminum has to give up how many?
3.
Has to give up 3.
So you need.
So I got 3 electrons down here that need homes, right? Well, F has 7 electrons. So it can take one of these. Okay?
I need another F.
Okay? So I can add another F. And it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 electrons. So this one can go there. All right? So I found 2 of them homes. I still got a homeless electron. So what am I going to do?
Add another
I'm
F.
going to add another F. And so F has how many electrons? It has 7. So this one is going to go there. And all of these gained 1 electron. So they all have a -1. Now, if I'm Xavier, he needs somebody to write balance on his test paper. So how many F's do I have? So I'm going to put a 3 right there to balance my F. Questions?
No, I get what it is. It's just it don't look complete, so I feel like I'm not gonna have the right stuff I need to have on this. But I'll do it. Like I feel like the CS. Why is it not CS2? Why is there actually 2 individual ones?
Bro,
Okay.
I mean, I guess if you wrote this, I would still give you credit. I wouldn't get bent out of shape. Most people don't, but
Okay. I'll just leave it.
all right. So let's talk homework. All right. Bonding.
Wear skulls to. She's like,
She was like,
skulls.
I heard that yesterday, like, she be tripping.
All right. So if we look at the bonding review sheet, guys, if we don't get through it because y'all are talking, it don't matter. It'll be test Monday.
I love
What? What'd you say?
If we don't get through everything today, it doesn't matter to me. The test is Monday. It doesn't move. So question 1, covalent. Question 2, ionic. 3, covalent. 4, covalent. 5 is ionic. 6, ionic. 7 through 10 are covalent.
7 through 10.
Yes.
Wait, what is resonance again?
Resonance means you can draw the Lewis structure 2 different ways. Like the first one on the quiz yesterday, I'll hand those back while we're working on test review stuff. 1 and 6 yesterday. Some of you, most of you, almost everybody drew with 2 double bonds, but I'm pretty sure it was you and one other person in first period drew it with a single and a triple bond. So that would be resonance, being able to draw it.
Right?
Yes, it was still right. Okay. Yeah. No, I'll give it to you afterwards. Otherwise, you'll be writing the answers down. All right. It's bad enough that someone will probably hand it to you and you'll copy it, but at least you'll have to copy it, not just write it down as I call them out.
Okay.
All right. Number 1, F, not the F minus, would be smaller.
What is this? I do not know how to do this.
Right.
Radius.
Symbols are too small.
This was from the last unit on the periodic table. It's on the test
I didn't know
Monday.
that was a minus. I thought it was a dot.
Oh, no, it's a minus.
Yeah, they all do like that.
Okay.
The F.
BA plus 2 means you lost 2 electrons, so you'd be smaller. So plus 2 is smaller than BA.
That's a plus 2.
Yeah.
Wait. So the BA with the 2 is smaller
Yes.
because you lost weight.
Yes.
Okay.
The next one is O minus 2 and S minus 2. So smaller.
S minus 2?
No,
Oh.
because you go down, it gets bigger. So O minus 2 would be smaller.
Facts.
All right. And then 4 would be the same thing. You're in the same group. So Na would be smaller because it's higher. K is further down, so it gets bigger.
I thought. Oh wait, metals and non-metals. No, that's reactivity is where it's different.
Yes, correct.
But the radius rule stays the same for metals and non-metals.
Correct.
Okay.
All right. So letter C. I drew these on the board to try to make life easier on us. All right. So this is column 1 right here. All right. So the dot diagram for sulfur is here. 6 dots. When you draw the outer shell, it's Ne, 2S2, 2P. Sorry, I'm on the wrong row. It's 3S. 3s2, and then 3p4, which is why the two dots are split. Okay? Now, an ion of nitrogen. Nitrogen has 5 dots, which I drew in red. An ion means it has an oxidation number, right? What's the oxidation number for nitrogen? -3. What does -3 mean?
You add 3.
You add 3. So see how I drew in 3 blue dots? The blue dots means you gained electrons. So I drew in my 5 dots, and then I gained 3 electrons.
Wait. What did you add 3 to?
The dot diagram.
Oh, you add 3 to the dot diagram, not the number?
Yeah, you add 3 to the dot diagram. So you had 5 dots, and you gained 3, so I added 3 dots. Sodium has 1, because it's in group 1. All right, and then zinc, 2 dots, because it was a transition element, right? And its oxidation number is what? Because it says an ion of zinc.
Oh.
So what would you do if it's an ion? You'd lose 2.
Add the oxidation number.
And it's +2, so what's +2 mean?
-2.
So I took 2 dots away.
So though it would have no dots?
It would have no dots.
Oh, I forgot how to do those.
Now, the middle row is exactly what we did in the opening. The whole middle row is the opening. So, you have these 4 are the middle row. In fact, let me hit save so I don't have to draw those lines back in. Second period. I'll already be there. Okay. There's the middle row for
So
onyx
I don't
structures.
put the little +2, -2 on the other side. Just so I can.
No, you only put that on the right because on the left they haven't lost it or gained it. On the right, you're showing me what happened. On the left, you're showing me what it was originally.
All right. I can do that.
Excuse me?
Questions?
Why does CA have 2 dots?
Because it's in group 2. So it'd have 2 dots because it's in group 2, 2 outer shell electrons.
Wait. So there would be 2 CAs? Wait, no, because.
Ca loses 2 and O gains the 2.
Miss Waal.
Yeah.
If it says atom, we leave it the same.
Yeah, if it's an atom, it's just got its electrons. If it's an ion, it's going to lose or gain something. Because it's an atom with a charge. Does that make sense? Anybody else? Questions? Can I turn the page?
No. So K is +1 because it lost it. And N is -3.
It's weird.
I thought you said.
I mean, it has to go to angles like that.
Because I know that's the phone. I keep having to. Yes, bring it back to the copier.
That's disgusting.
That's disgusting.
All right.
And then when they come out, I see it.
That's row 3.
Smells of trash.
I'm just gonna say this.
We did that one yesterday.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hey, little
All right, we got 'em?
Right, that's what
All right,
glow up season.
the backside, number 1.
We're on D.
Oh, D? Oh, I didn't do D. D. A, tetrahedral. 2, bent. 3, triangular planar. 4, linear. 5, triangular pyramidal. And 6, bent. Now the back. E, ionic. C, nonpolar covalent. 3, polar covalent. 4, nonpolar covalent. 5 falls on the line, so you can say ionic or polar covalent. I would take either one. And 6, polar covalent. All right, and then the last section is right there. What? One is ionic. What? 3 is polar covalent. Because when you subtract number 3, you get 1.0. When you subtract C, which is 2.5, and O, which is 3.5, you get 1.0.
Okay, I don't know how I messed it up. Anyways.
That's okay.
Yeah.
You understand how we did it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and F is on the board. Okay, the only way to do part F is to draw the Lewis structures. Otherwise, you're saying eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
But polar and non-polar. Wait, was it polar and non-polar for the the whole molecule thing?
Yeah, if you're
With the
doing
2 steps.
with the 2 steps to do molecule polarity, you're doing the 2 steps. So here are the bonds the same? Are they both Se and O? Se and O.
Yes.
You have a lone pair.
Yes.
As soon as you see the lone pair, you know it's polar. As long as you don't have a 0. The reason this is non-polar is because when you subtract, this is 2.1 and this is 2.1, and so when you subtract, you get 0 for your electronegativity difference.
So how can you spot before you know?
You can't. I didn't put any on the test. I'll tell you that now.
Okay, thank you. 'Cause that was,
Okay? Everybody go to the homework so we can move on. But I didn't put any of those weird exceptions on the test. If you know the basic rules, you should be fine. All right, get rid of that. And that.
I went to this, no, and I asked this lady,
I'm glad I brought it up.
when I tell you she spelled the right fantastic.
All right, so yesterday,
Basically, what this smells weird.
Like, rise and shine.
all right, we took notes on properties of metals, and we were doing ionic bonds when we had to stop because of the bell.
Wait, so this
All
is
right.
a continuation of yesterday?
Yep, I even saved the notes. So we had written down these notes for metallic bonds. We said metallic bonds, the electrons are able to move. They're not locked into position. Okay? We said, or y'all said, they're solids. They're shiny. They have the strongest bond, which we're coming back to very shortly. All right? They're good conductors of heat and electricity. They're malleable and they're ductile. These properties they have because their electrons are able to move throughout the metal. Now, we were talking about ionic bonding when we had to stop. All right? An ionic bond, first of all, is the second strongest. The electrons are locked into that crystal lattice. So, let me change colors here and add something because I said it, but we didn't write it based on what I can see on the board. All right? So, you have these crystals that are in the crystal lattice, right? And there's 7 different crystal lattices. I told you that yesterday. You don't have to know what the crystal lattice structures are. You just have to know it is a crystal lattice. All right? It's an orderly arrangement of crystals. One unit cell should tell you the pattern of the rest of the crystal lattice. Now, can these electrons move? No. Okay? The electrons are locked into position.
Wait, when did this get here?
What get where?
Oh, I already wrote this yesterday.
Okay. That's going to be important in a minute when I start asking y'all things about properties of ionic bonds, which is why I wrote that.
Did you forget anything?
Not yet.
Okay.
That I didn't write down, even though we said it. I wanted to make sure you wrote it. All right. I think we talked about lattice
And
energy.
it pops up on the test, and I don't remember writing it down.
Whatever. All right. So each crystal lattice has a lattice energy. Okay. So the higher the lattice energy, the stronger the bond. Everybody's with me on that, right?
Yeah.
So if NaCl has a higher lattice energy than like LiCl, then NaCl would have a higher. So let me write this down. If NaCl has a higher lattice energy than LiCl, how would that translate into something real for us? What kind of things would NaCl have higher than LiCl? Okay. NaCl would have a higher boiling point and melting point. Okay, that's how the lattice energy translates into something real.
How do you know NaCl has a higher lattice?
That would be an AP level question, but it's got to do with it being a bigger atom and farther down group 1.
So like on the test, it'll tell us which one's
Yes,
higher?
I would tell you that.
Okay.
If I say something about it having a higher lattice energy, you would be able to translate that into it having a higher melting point and boiling point.
Okay.
Yes, I would not expect you to know Na is higher than Li. No. That would be a much higher chemistry order thinking question from something else I would have taught, which I'm not teaching. Okay? Now, what kind of properties would ionic compounds have as compared to metallics? All right, everybody caught up? All right. So, if these electrons are locked into place, all right, what kind of properties would ionic compounds have versus metallics? Look at our list of properties. Compare them. What kind of things could we say about ionic compounds?
Smell.
Soft. Turn in the middle.
Wait, isn't it a non-metal and that's soft?
Is it metal?
What is ionic?
It's metal.
Okay.
Yes, so a non-metal could have a smell.
Okay.
Pretty. Oh. Oh.
All right.
Kayla?
Somewhat high melting point and boiling point is what Zyra said. So pretty high melting point and boiling point.
Wait, this
All
is
right.
ionic?
Yeah. We're still in.
Oh, where are we right? Oh,
We're still in ionic.
Okay.
We're not in metallic. All right. What else can we say?
Not as shiny.
shiny.
Y'all know what salt looks like, people.
Shiny.
White.
White. White.
Oh yeah,
Sparkling.
Crystals.
There we go. It's a crystal. I like that one.
said the same time.
Okay. Crystals. I like that. Okay. What things can y'all tell me about
Little.
crystals? They're little.
Hard.
Some are hard. They're not all hard. All right. What can you tell me about crystals?
They're pretty and shiny.
On a lot of pressure.
I'm a little worried that y'all would tell me about crystal meth.
I didn't say it this time. It's so pretty.
Well, you don't know them in
hurt you, Miss Wall.
Rigid.
Okay, so,
Transparent, translucent.
all right, so y'all remember when we talked about these properties yesterday?
Yeah.
All right, I want you to sort of use these as the springboard here.
I tried.
Okay, I know, y'all are all over the map. So, they're all gonna be solids, that's good. We can put all solids there. Write that down, I'll come back. They're all solids. All right? All ionic compounds are gonna be solids. So,
Non-ductile.
okay, so they're not gonna be malleable and ductile. Can't roll them into sheets, can't throw them into wires. So, what's gonna happen to some, hold on. If we try to hammer a crystal,
Right.
there you go.
Fragile.
So what's the science word for gonna crack, shatter? Okay. It's not really a science word. Okay.
Fragile.
It was Halloween last night. All right. Not many of y'all got to go trick or treating, I'm sure. Boo Bash was canceled and all of that. Maybe you had some candy at the house. It's not one of my favorites, but Butterfingers. What happens when you bite into a Butterfingers? What's the word for that? Brittle. That's the word we want.
Oh my gosh, the other day I went into a Kit Kat and there was no wafer in it. It was just chocolate. They played a trick on me. It was terrible.
How did they?
All right, it was brittle, all solids.
Like, I was really so excited for the commercial.
Okay, so we said brittle because they're not malleable or ductile. Okay, they're very poor conductors. So what are they good at being if they're poor conductors? They're good insulators.
I'm glad y'all know this. A lot of them stay in the back yelling answers and they're all right all the time.
Y'all should have had this in other science classes, this insulator conductor stuff.
You don't know why.
Who?
I had Miss biology and it was it.
What?
I used to be in that class. Like, I'm like,
Ionic.
we played ball.
I don't even think I was
Yeah.
right.
I played bunk every class. That's all I remember.
That
School.
trans
All right.
colors.
Huh?
They have colors.
Remember IEC?
Well, they can be, but no.
Oh.
The only thing that I can think of off the top of my head that we haven't talked about is, can we make them conduct?
No.
That's like a weird.
How'd you this? Oh, yeah.
All right, can we make them conduct? Think about salt.
No.
It puts out fires.
What?
You could burn it.
It melts snow.
What?
All right, let's go with the melting snow concept. Okay, it's a colligative property. All right, so yes, we can use it for melting snow. It's a colligative property. It's not part of our curriculum anymore, but it lowers or raises the freezing point or the boiling point. Melting snow actually lowers the freezing point. So instead of it freezing at 32, it really lowers it to about 27, 28. You know, if it gets much lower than that, it doesn't work very well for that. All right, so thinking about snow. What other state does snow exist in? Water. Okay, so what can we do with salt?
Oh,
What song?
wait.
You can put salt in what, Sarah? In water. Okay?
It's soluble.
Salt is soluble.
I didn't know.
Okay? So if we put salt in water,
You can't drink it.
Oh.
I really said
yeah, I know, that's some good skills, isn't it?
that was fun.
I have to do this a lot in second period for somebody at the back who's blind as a bat and won't sit up front. All right, so if we have, oh, you need this too, Sam? Okay. So if we have salt dissolved in water, okay, what are these little things supposed to represent? That's right. They're ions and they're moving electrons. All right?
In the sea. You said something about a sea yesterday.
That was the metal. Okay?
Okay.
These are ions or moving electrons. Alright, so
That is true. I just heard that.
It is there.
when ionic compounds dissolve in water, Precious, be quiet. When ionic compounds dissolve in water,
She was not even talking.
whose voice is it I hear over there?
I'm not snitching.
Well, whoever it is, shut up.
I'm just gonna love me up. No, she actually was probably talking about Princess, but she said Precious anyway.
It sounded like Precious's voice that time. Now, when ionic compounds dissolve in water, they conduct electricity. So, when we put chemicals in a swimming pool, all of those chemicals are ionic compounds. So in the summertime, when a storm comes up, what do you have to do?
Get out.
You have to get out of the pool, because if there's a storm and lightning hits the pool, well, yes.
I
What?
thought that was with anything.
I thought you said the electrons couldn't move.
They cannot move as long as it's a solid. However, if you put it in water, is it now going to be locked into position? No, because now they are moving electrons when they dissolve.
What does the
Okay.
chemicals
But what if
in
it
the pool
doesn't
have to
dissolve?
do
What if
with
it just sits
lightning?
at the bottom?
It's not going to sit at the bottom, not when you dissolve it. Now, do you have to dissolve it? What's another way you could get the electrons to move besides dissolving it?
Burning it.
Not burning it. Can you change it?
Fire.
To a gas.
No.
Oh,
Liquid.
Yes, if you melted it.
Okay.
If you melted it and changed it to the molten state,
Oh,
it would also work. Okay, but you could liquefy it or you could dissolve it in water. We don't have any way to actually molten it in here, but we could put it in water and get those electrons to move out.
I'm confused on what the chemicals in the pool have to do with lightning.
In any swimming pool, okay? Because people pee in the pool.
Oh,
Other
know,
things.
I put chemicals
Yeah,
in
you
the
put chemicals in the pool, all right? When they dissolve, they create ions, lots of ions. Those are moving electrons, okay?
Yes.
So if any electrical current of any kind touches those moving electrons, it disperses and carries that electrical current throughout the pool. So it will get anybody that's in the pool. Okay, do you remember several years ago when the girl died at one of the swimming pools here in Davidson County? Electrical current carried through the ground from electrical wire somewhere in the parking lot.
But
Okay.
she grabbed all
But the
Oh.
electricity was running through the water in the pool. The three people that were in the pool could feel the electrical current in the pool.
but it
The-
didn't like shock them. But
They
but
could
when
feel
she touched the
it.
metal
When she
ladder-
touched the metal ladder is when she died. That was enough electrical current to kill her. The people who went out on the concrete works as a what? Insulator. The ladder worked as a conductor.
So she just.
Okay? That's the difference.
What if
Yes.
it was just a pool filled with regular water?
All water has moving electrons. First of all, water.
Right.
Well, you asked a question, so listen. All water self-ionizes. It has a fancy name called autoprotalysis, but all water self-ionizes into two ions, hydrogen and hydroxide. So all water conducts to a much lesser degree than this does, okay? However, what do we all have in water? Everybody has. The state puts it in. Fluoride is in there. There's some small amount of chlorine because you have to keep water clean as it comes to your house. Some pipes are copper pipes. There's some metal ions in there. Hopefully nobody has lead pipes, but you still see it in the news that there's lead pipes in some houses. So there's always ions in the water. But again, to a much lesser degree than swimming pools. Swimming pools have a ton of ions in them to keep them clean because we all swim in them. We'd like to believe that nobody pees in a swimming pool. However, that's not the case. People pee in pools all the time.
No matter how.
No, I don't. Okay?
Or they poop in the pool, and then you have to close the pool and just scoop the poop out with a thingy because that's happened before.
And then you have to, yeah, people do poop in pools. Then
I
you
feel like
have to close down the pool until you get the pH levels and all that regulated.
Feel right, people.
But if you talk to people on swim swim team members will tell you sometimes that they do pee in the pools.
Oh.
Okay?
No.
Not every member of the
Not
swim
this
team.
team member because
No,
it is less
I'll
work.
get out.
I have
For
to do
example,
it.
if you ever read an interview about Michael Phelps will tell you he peed in the pool his entire career. He did not get out of the pool to go to the bathroom. He spent hours in the pool. Okay? Several years ago when I taught Chem 2.
You taught him.
No, I taught
Oh.
chemistry
I was about
2.
to say.
I taught Cole Riggin. Cole Riggin told me point blank. He said, well, I spend 5 hours a day in a pool. I'm getting out to go to the bathroom.
Cole Reagan?
He was wrong.
Oh,
He
like,
went and swam on a scholarship.
Did you go to Davidson?
Yes. He did not get out. Okay?
Maybe that's the difference between me and Cole. One, I don't spend 5 hours in the pool. Two, I'm getting out so I can take a break from all that.
Okay.
Okay? But my point is, lots of professional swimmers do it. Lots of swim team members do it. So there's lots of chemicals in a pool. Regular water that you get out of the water fountain has ions in it. It will also conduct, not to this degree of conductivity though. Okay?
Bond properties.
Now, covalent bonding.
Oh.
Ugh. Now, covalent bonding. The electrons are shared, right?
Yes.
Can they move?
No.
No. The electrons are locked into position. And they cannot move
So
by any means. Not even dissolving.
Wait, so metallic, they can't move either?
No. Go back to metallic.
none of them can move.
What can you tell me about metallic?
Oh, they move freely because it's the C.
That's right. They're the electron C. They're always moving. It doesn't matter.
Even like solids, liquids.
It
Well,
does.
it's not liquids.
Yeah, there are. One. Mercury's a liquid.
Okay.
And it's moving regardless. They're always moving.
The other one, ionic, it doesn't move unless it's a liquid.
That's right.
Okay.
Wait, so this thing right here, there's moving stuff in here?
Yes, the electrons are always moving.
Hey, what's up, dog?
Okay? So if you have a solid ionic compound, the electrons are not moving. It will not conduct. The only time you can get an ionic compound to conduct is when you do what? Two things. Dissolve it in water or
And
melt
what's
it.
that have
Make
to
it a.
do with the diamond again?
This is a fixed crystal. That's the only one I could draw.
Okay.
Okay? There's 7 different structures it can have, but I'll show you those down the road.
Metal?
No, this is what?
Oh.
It's a crystal.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting electrons are not like living creatures.
They're not living creatures, people. Okay? So, with
Everybody else-
covalent, the thing that makes it different is the electrons are locked into place. It doesn't matter what you do to a covalent bond. You can't dissolve it, can't do anything to it to get those electrons to move. They are permanently locked into the bond and you cannot get them to move. So what can you never get a covalent bond to do? Conduct. Okay? So covalent bonds, for their properties, will not conduct. Okay? They will not. You can't get them to. Now, the things that make covalent so much different than ionic and metallic is these are solids, liquids, and gases. So, because you have all 3 states, it's much harder to talk about their properties. These are also the weakest bond because of that. So if they're the weakest bond, they're going to have the lowest what? Correct. Who y'all yelling at over on that side now?
We're being kind.
Okay.
Right.
Jay, what Brooke said yesterday about our
Oh my gosh.
First of all,
People will defend rapers just because.
Brooke thinks Michael Jackson is him.
What? And then she said the girls that R. Kelly raped deserved it. Well, they asked for it because they were raped.
Who are you talking about?
Brooke.
we're just looking at each other like, what?
Now, she was bummed with that Michael Jackson.
Lord.
He is dead, like, then, like, dude,
R. Kelly?
it's been years.
And I thought it was funny how we were talking about Cameron, she's like, oh no, he dead. Like,
There are people who still think Elvis is alive too. You can't fix it.
They still think Tupac
No, I
is
swear,
alive.
Elvis.
I mean,
Believe like bands were like a cult. Like they all came out to that Elvis concert, and it was like it was weird. And they had a meet and greet with the fake Elvis. Like why?
oh
Like,
my
yes, I had to be there
God.
for youth council.
Oh.
And yes, like we had to hand out flyers for the concert, and there was like a bunch of it was all old people. And like they came to meet the fake Elvis, and I was like, why?
All right, everybody caught up with me.
You mean a stranger?
All right. So the last thing that I want to put up here for covalent is these are volatile. It's a new vocabulary word. All right, volatile. They vaporize, or you can say evaporate if that makes you happier, at very low temperatures. Let's say this very quickly. We'll do it that way. That'll make it easier for y'all. Yeah, very quickly. All right, so for those of you who have ever rubbed alcohol on your skin, or maybe you've gotten a shot and somebody else has rubbed the alcohol on your skin, how long does it take alcohol to dry?
Instantly.
Almost instantly. That's volatile. Any of you ever used nail polish remover?
Why is it cold?
Yes.
why is it cold?
Because it has a very low freezing point and melting point.
Oh.
Wait, so
Why
like, you
does
can freeze
alcohol
alcohol?
never freeze?
Because it has a low freezing point.
So it has to
It's
like-
below normal freezing points. You can put it in the freezer, it still won't freeze.
Oh,
It's below. So what that
But
mean?
no.
See, y'all are all thinking about water temperature's freezing point. Okay, it has a lower freezing point than water.
So wouldn't that mean it was?
so how long would it take for it to freeze?
I see where you're
A
going.
lower, so it has to be colder.
Than water.
The word shots when they put it in.
Yes.
So how long would it take for it to freeze? Alcohol.
Huh?
How long would it take alcohol to freeze? Never?
It has a lower freezing point than water, so it doesn't freeze at the freezer's coldest temperature. So you'd have to have something colder than the freezer.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
Nitrogen.
I don't know what it is.
Nitrogen.
What?
It's fine.
So I can hear Elijah. Some of them are yes. Yes, a lot of covalent compounds are. All right.
That's stupid to me. I'm not gonna burn myself on purpose.
Everything you do with liquid nitrogen.
No, I don't have any liquid nitrogen. I can't even get magnesium to do the lab. You think I can get liquid nitrogen? Give me a break. All right. Yep. This is the last thing we need to do for the test. All right. Van der Waal forces are attractive forces. Now, if you ever have to do this because you have to do college chemistry, I'm watering this down a lot. Okay? But I'm watering it down to just the parts we need.
I wish we had another thing.
Right. Can do.
All right. Dipole forces are attractions between polar molecules.
You should teach AP kids next year.
Nope.
No, I thought next year was your last year.
It can be. Don't know. Haven't made any firm decisions yet.
Just want you to see me graduate.
All right, so hydrogen bonding is an attraction between hydrogen and a lone pair. And the last one is called London dispersion forces. And this is an attraction between non-polar molecules.
What?
Now, we're going to use these to figure out who has highest and lowest boiling points and to put them in order. So, in order to do this, we have to know which of these is the strongest of the three, and of course, who is the weakest, just like we ranked metallic, ionic, and covalent. So, who out of those three do you think will be the strongest of the three attractions? Now, I want you to think of these, first of all, as like magnets. They're not actual bonds. They're sort of like sticky, like magnets. Okay, they don't bond. So who do you think is the strongest?
Me.
Dipole.
Dipole is usually the answer I get, but it's not. Yep. It's actually hydrogen bonding.
Oh my gosh, I was gonna say that.
You should have.
So why is this one stronger?
Huh?
Why is this one stronger?
Because of the hydrogen and the lone pair. It just works the best. Okay? So who would be the weakest?
Dipole. London dispersion force.
The nonpolar is going to be the weakest. Nonpolar molecules have the least attraction for each other.
Oh.
Okay? So hydrogen bonding will be the strongest, and London dispersion will be the weakest. So, essentially dipole, hydrogen bonding, and then dipole, or dip is usually what I write, and then LDF. So, this is the strongest, and this is the weakest.
What is A2 bond? Oh, H2.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's H.
Oh, that's
There you go. I fixed the H.
Oh, I put it.
dip.
Dipole.
Oh.
Have you ever done any experiments on your own time? Like I hear about people like isolate like chemicals in their cleaning supplies and stuff.
No.
Why?
3 notifications.
You know, Miss Thornhill teaches science, and she's a true science nerd. I teach science because this is my job, not because I'm a science nerd.
I would say it's what pays the bills, but I don't know if teaching pays the bills nowadays.
No, it doesn't.
At least I got paid.
I keep telling Shelby she really needs to think about community college, and she keeps telling me no. I don't know what the child's thinking.
Where's she want to go?
She really wants to go to UNC Charlotte.
Aw, that's a pretty school.
CC.
Yeah, I keep telling her DCCC.
She can get scholarships.
You keep telling her to think DCCC. It's got the same initials, you know, CCC.
No.
It's not the same as Waal. It's not the same.
I'm not moving my
Yeah, she keeps telling me the same things. It's all right.
Wait, you want her to go there because money or because you don't want her to leave?
Well, it's not that much further. I don't care about that. She'll be down the road a little bit, but, you know, it's the money.
You need to live on. Oh, because look at community college.
She keeps telling me she wants the 4-year experience.
She wants the good stuff.
Yeah, that's what she keeps saying. I'm like, duh.
Didn't you have good stuff this fall? You gotta give
Good.
more
Did you
to.
go to UNCG?
Yeah, I went off that ride though.
I'm gonna go to Harvard.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Alright.
Where's Harvard in that?
I don't know. All the Ivy schools are in irrelevant parts of the country.
They're in the Northeast. Unless you go to Stanford, that's in California.
The Northeast.
State.
Isn't there one? Yeah. Massachusetts.
Where is,
You're looking too
Dartmouth? Washington's in Massachusetts.
Yeah. Oh.
You knew that.
The only Ivy League I know of is Columbia, and that's in New York.
The closest one to us.
Yeah. And I used to want to go there in middle school, and then I realized I'm definitely not getting it. Or that out-of-state tuition. It's not doing it.
I never knew about
Alright.
it.
There's our question.
Oh.
Like, this is the only class I can learn stuff. Like,
Tell me about it.
It's why it can be so difficult.
Good job.
Well, we learned stuff in there, but I learned it and then forget it.
yeah, this like that stuff we've already done like 1,000 times, and I still don't understand. Like, 'cause of prior math class.
Yeah, and it's nothing to do with her. It's just my math in general.
Math is just something you don't learn. You do it once for a test. And
That's what I'm
forget
saying.
it.
You have to just dive.
I hate them so much. It honestly was too like, right?
Ooh, she killed it.
I swear. See, Xavier's always crazy.
Before I get crazy. That's what.
Okay, where is CRO?
What was the name?
Okay, what?
Yes, but there we go. All classes left. I want to check ISS. Some of my students are not.
They quit.
Because they're what?
Good people. They don't do anything wrong. Ever.
No, Dave, you want to been there. Okay.
Fight for some being late.
Wait, Ionic is metal and non-metal, right?
Yes.
Okay. Say less.
Mark Princess here.
Really?
In middle school, I was like, high school don't even look at, the colleges don't even look at middle school, so this is really great. And now I'm in high school, the colleges don't even look at any of the grades.
So, what did we learn?
What? I'm not done yet.
I wasn't expecting you to do it on your own.
Oh.
Oh, well.
Okay, I'm glad you did this. Let's do it on our own because I
I
did
make
All right. So, which bullet point is going to be the highest?
CR.
Okay. So, metallic will be the highest. All right.
Oh, increasing. Oh.
Yeah.
Never mind. Maybe I should be moving this one.
All right. Who will be next? All right. And then who will be next? All right. So covalent will be the lowest. And then metallic will be the highest. So the first thing we need to do is figure out what we have up here, right? So what can you tell me about CR?
Metallic.
It's a metallic. All right. What can you tell me about CCl4?
Covalent.
Okay. And water?
Covalent.
And PCl3?
Ion, COVID.
IIO.
And NaCl. Okay. So we know at this point that Cr and NaCl, we got those. But the other three, they're all covalent.
So what do we do, Ms. Waal? What do we do?
It's freezing.
Did you just say it's freezing in here?
It is cold. I'm cold.
I'm too. I'm not even sweating today.
I feel good.
I feel pretty good myself. But you know, I'm like a polar bear. I got all this insulation. Okay? So, this is where y'all have to use your LDF to dip
How do we
to.
know they're like, how do we know how to classify those?
Okay. So, how do you know how to do that?
No, sir.
Covalent, yeah.
You're sort of on the right track, but we can't just subtract.
The Lewis structure.
We got to do the Lewis structure. Okay?
We have to draw Lewis structures for all of those?
Only which ones? Covalent. You can't draw Lewis structures for ionic or metallic.
Well, we don't even need to do the hydrogen one because that's a whole different one.
That's right. That's the only one that can be the hydrogen bond. So you know hydrogen bonding has to be that one because it's the only one that has what?
Because it's strong. Yeah.
It's the only one with hydrogen. So you're left with how many?
2. That's still.
That's not a lot.
Well, when you have 50, how many questions we got? 50? Some on the test?
You better hear at 810.
78 or 79.
I'm ready here on the test.
Hey, who?
78 questions.
You're serious?
That's
Like,
you said 50 something yesterday. You know
Wait, what's wrong? No.
That was the multiple choice portion. That was the multiple choice portion. The 51 is the multiple choice portion. The rest is the free response to get to the 78 or 79. What?
That is so. Miss Wahl, you're about to see me in high school tutoring to finish this test.
We
Because
have test questions on this one, right?
I haven't decided. Usually I do, but I haven't decided.
Shit, go ahead.
I'm gonna correct the ones I didn't get to. Miss Wahl,
Stop whining.
can I get here at 7:45? I don't care.
You can't get it here at 7:45. How you planning to get down here?
So true. Yeah.
You.
I wasn't here at 7:45 today. I got stuck behind a bus.
I'm gonna be sitting in the parking lot waiting for you to walk in, Miss Wahl, and when you do, means it.
All right. So there's the 2 Lewis structures.
Oh, you wrote them fast. I was over here doing one.
So once you have them, what can you tell me about this one? Is it polar or non-polar?
Non-polar.
Non-polar. What can you tell me about this one?
Polar.
All right. So this one would be what? Dip, or London dispersion. All right. So that's London dispersion. And polar is what? Dip. All right. So who is the weakest of the 2?
LDF.
Okay. So the LDF. So CCl4 goes here. And PCl3 goes there.
That took way too long. Are you serious about 78 questions? How many were on the last one?
65.
Okay.
65.
Okay.
Wasn't they on multiple choice?
Yeah.
Exactly. I can just pick B, but I can't do that for
Written answer.
Wait. I can just put B, but that won't do
Wait, can you
it.
look at dip?
Jesus.
Like here?
Yeah.
Matthew, Mark, Luke, John.
That's not what I think. No.
Are you
No.
I hate that one.
All right, same question.
My God, what makes me cringe so bad? Get through it. Like, I hate freaking TikTok. I watch it and it's gross.
Okay. How am I running out of space in my notebook?
I don't know.
Me too. I think I got like
I took that page.
20 pages at the most.
Yeah.
That was not really
All right, do the same thing. Rank them in order.
Ask me a question.
The question is the same question as before. Well, I hand out these push papers.
I'm not bilingual, so.
You said do what with these? Do
Same question.
doing myself.
I'm gonna hush.
Okay, put them in order.
Are y'all okay?
No. They're seriously disturbed.
CH is
She said that by my seat.
covalent, right? Wait.
Oh, no,
that's not the question.
Carbon and hydrogen.
This is what I like to see.
Yes, Caleb.
You see this?
Magnesium is metallic.
Oh, man, what the? I felt
Yeah.
that.
You forgot, right?
Yes.
And I just.
Can I write the
That's all I got
correct
for you
answer?
today.
Miss Wall, can I write the correct answer?
Do what?
Can I write the correct answer?
That's good.
My friends.
Yeah.
BR.
I'm going to give
Non-metal.
folks have to take it up a different one.
Potassium.
I have like 3 of these.
You don't like it, Randall?
I said I have like 3 of these, so I'm just going to make a different one for people who I have to make it up.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Are they?
I don't even know what I'm talking about.
Wait, so which one's that? CH4.
It's a metal. It's a transition.
Metal is the strongest, you said?
I mean, where?
Yeah, you're gonna tell me.
You got an 8. So what should you do?
What tell me?
See how I
Thought you was
over
giving me
here?
some food.
11? Oh my God.
Oh.
CH is stronger than NH, right? Because there's more H's than CH than
I
NH.
don't know they fries, but they fries be smacked. Yes, they do.
Miss Hall.
What?
CH is stronger than
I don't like
NH
this
because CH has more H's.
No.
They don't have no flavor.
Grits
Are disgusting. Never get that.
Wait, but they're both the
So
same.
yours look
But
great.
this one has more H's.
It doesn't have anything to do with more H.
Come on, wonder.
You gotta draw it. I ain't got to. You just get it wrong on the test.
No.
So I gotta draw 1, 2, 3.
Get them like 3.
I just marked it wrong on your test.
Okay,
Now
I
pick it up. Pick it up.
No.
And 1
Hey,
times 6 plus 4 is 2.
I could not copy what you said.
I answered a question.
It's just chop my life.
Yeah,
I got something.
I did that. I don't know because it
Hey.
doesn't. No, because C.
We needed to, if this,
What's your name? You got me mixed.
Miss
up.
Wall.
She just said, well,
If we have lone pairs with the H, then
Shut
it's
up.
more.
Yeah, because that's a hybrid body.
But it has no
Yeah.
H. It has no lone pairs. That's
No lone pairs is the H, that would not be hydrogen bonding. If there's no lone pairs, it can't be hydrogen bonding.
I just back.
I need help. Well, I need to figure out what's wrong with number 2.
Wait, you have 4 H's.
Right here.
That'd be 4 plus 6, right?
This
No, 4
wall,
plus 4, which is 8. Okay.
I don't know. No, hold on.
You gotta put it on one of these except don't use.
I don't know.
It's
Which
How do you know which
Uh,
color goes in front of which?
3
I
plus
know.
ionic
CSL.
How do you know it's not color?
And then.
Okay. The Lewis structure.
This is why this is why NH3 is so.
Let's have that.
And then you keep going.
Yeah.
This
Cut
is my last 3.
This wall.
Last 3? Yeah.
The only one you don't include is the cup. All of them get included.
KBR and NH3, KBR, and
Even the ionic, but
How
How many ionics did you get?
No, it's not.
No, it's
Every
not.
bond is the same. Are there any lone pairs? I'm home. Are the bonds the same? Are there any lone pairs?
CH4 is not
I'm
polar
holding.
because
Are the bonds
that
the
would be
same?
smallest, I think.
Yeah, there are. There and an O and an O. Are there lone pairs? Polar.
Thanks.
Oh, weird.
Alright, so when you look at the,
Oh my
what's on the board? Who's the highest? Because I can't get power school load here. Who has the highest bowling point? Why is it MN? It's a metal. Okay? The metal's the highest. Alright, who's the next highest?
KBR.
Okay, these are ionic. So we know it's the next. Now, the last 3, you know what? They're all what? Okay, so several people are like, Michaela, they're like, can I use 4 H's? No. You got to draw them all. Okay? CH4,
Thank you.
NH3,
How do you know between the number and the
all right, so what can you tell me about CH4? Non-polar. What can you tell me about NH3? Polar. What can you tell me about SO2?
Polar.
Polar.
Now I know.
Okay. These two have hydrogens in them. Are either of them going to be hydrogen bonding?
Yes.
Which one?
NH3.
NH3, it has a lone pair and it has an H. This has H, but it doesn't have a what on it? Doesn't have the lone pair. Okay? So this one is polar and it has hydrogen bonding. So this has hydrogen bonding and dip because it's polar. This one is non-polar, so it has London dispersion. And this one is polar, so it has dip. So, who is the strongest or highest boiling point out of those?
Hydrogen bond.
Hydrogen bonding. So that puts NH3 here.
Then it would be SO2.
Who is the next? Whoops, wrong way, stupid. SO2. And then who is the lowest?
CH4.
CH4. Questions?
No.
All right. I'm going to make Serenity, Xavier, Alana, and Allie
What?
my handy helpers here.
Why?
Because hopefully if you're all here in a square, you will not forget each other here, Xavier.
Which one is mine?
Don't forget each other. All right? Because you both class. Now, the answers to these are already posted on the website. Did you guys-
Oh my God.
All right.
What's wrong with her? Why is she doing that? I don't think that's normal. It's like some kind of double jointed back stuff.
It was weird.
Miss Wall, you gave me Serenity
I'm
paper.
walking around in a back bed
That's
like,
what you
what?
did. Yeah.
Why don't we have a good Hello.
Close it out.
Something smells good over here.
It's that strawberry oatmeal.
Strawberry
Oatmeal.
I reminds me of the strawberry cream. Like,
There's the all boys.
thank you.
Jocelyn, how you feeling after swim this morning?
This morning.
Y'all swim in the morning? Well,
Oh, yeah, sometimes.
we didn't swim today. We had dry land. And
Damn.
this girl that was teaching the class is literally like a spider monkey and was doing all this jump and
Oh.
stuff. And I was like, who is doing that?
The one lady said
This one lady, and then she would like scream to Guns N' Roses, and I'd be like, girl.
See, yeah.
Like, she isn't
I'm not ready
shaking,
for
so
dry
I
land. They be
get it.
doing too much.
But she was jumping and stuff.
That just
Yeah, I gave-
And then she
you
would
gave
give
me
us
some
modified
Serenity
ways to
paper.
do it, and I would be doing it the modified
Excuse
way
me?
every time. I was like,
I gave you what?
I can barely lift up my
Serenity's
arms,
text.
getting a little sore. Did I give you one?
What's up? How do you
They started at 6.
Yeah. 6 to 7.
Sometimes when we have water. I like when we have water. It wastes
I don't know. I kind of like dry land because I just like have like fun, I guess.
I don't.
I try to make it
move
fun.
around that much. They be having this.
That cardio like fucking makes my thigh burn.
We used to have to do them step
All right.
things.
So, I gave you 4 different things. 2 are on the periodic table. 2 are on bonding. You pick whatever you want to start with to work on. I will not be graded this. You are required to work on it from now until 9:55. Okay? But I will not be graded. The test is Monday. You know what you need and what you don't need. If you feel comfortable taking the test with nothing, go ahead. Are you okay over there?
Yeah, I just like stabbed myself on my binder and it hurt.
I know what I need this fall.
What?
I got a water bottle.
No.
I need to not take this test after.
What's wrong with you?
What you got in the
I
math?
know this.
21 out of 23.
Oh, that's nice.
If you are absent for the
I got
test,
18.
you will most likely have to take it in 2
I
sittings.
got 8.
I will give you half the test one day and half the test a different day.
What?
I said if you are absent for the test, you will probably have to do it in 2 afternoons. One on one day, half of it one day, and half of it a different day. Because I am not going to stay after school to do it on one day.
Mentally.
So keep that in mind.
Excuse me, are you hating?
Oh, my. Excuse me?
No.
Ew. Leave.